I wanted to let anybody know that is here with us in Zoom this morning, or if you're watching live on LinkedIn or Facebook. We are having a discussion all about Instagram today, which we're all very excited about. And if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments on social or here in the chat in Zoom. We will make sure to get them to Leigha, our speaker. I am going to share my screen really quickly, just to give everybody a really brief overview of, about our organization and what we do, a little bit about who we are. And let me see if I could find that. Sorry, the share screen sometimes works better other days than not. There we go. Here we go. Let me know if you guys can see it. Perfect. All right, so a little bit about our speaker, which I am going to give Leigha a chance to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her organization as well. But today's topic is Instagram page optimization and analytics. Yay. Leigha Grimes, she's the COO at DNA for Insta, which, by the way, hopefully we are going to start doing some stuff with them very soon as well. So if all of a sudden you see our Instagram page just getting awesome, they are why. so keep on the lookout for that. Next, so Palm Beach Tech Association, we started 5 years ago, just recently expanded to become a regional organization. So we have members from Martin County to Miami. So we're very excited about that. And our whole goal and mission is to build South Florida into a tech hub. So with that, we work with a lot of the headquartered companies, schools, of course, our community, the tech talent. And just to give everybody a little bit about our community creed is we are wholeheartedly committed to building a welcoming, collaborative, and inclusive community for all, putting inclusivity first, engaging with others, and we are considerate and don't sell to people. So what that means in short is we want to make sure to include all pieces of our tech community and making sure that we are not a sales-driven organization, but a community-driven organization. Hopefully through some of those relationships built that yes, people will do business together, but we want to just help and bring everybody together so that we can connect those dots. A little bit about our membership. We do have 4 different membership levels, from something for as small as our startup members all the way through our larger companies like our Office Depots, Modernizing Medicine, City Furniture, Florida Crystals. But we do also support our startup entrepreneurs in the community as well. A little bit about our events. So of course, this morning is one of our South Florida Tech workshops, which we do every Friday at 10 a.m. But we also have consistently each week, at least 4 to 5 events every week, from our tech talks on Mondays, podcast, and also we have annual events and quarterly as well. So something new just to mention, our Monday night tech talks, we actually just started doing them 30 minutes earlier at 5:30 and implementing a 30-minute networking section. That was something that by request from our community, as much events as we had being virtual, it was a little bit harder to network. So if you come into the tech talks on Mondays, now you can talk, do icebreakers, get to know people, introduce yourself for a whole 30 minutes before the actual presentation. And also to mention, the last one listed here, our hackathon. Annual hackathon, it is back this year, of course, virtually this year. So it's going to be Friday through Sunday, October 23rd through 25th. And for anybody that's listening, that's in the tech field, we are looking for developers, engineers, entrepreneurs, any of our creative or designer side, UI, UX, and also project managers. So we want to make some really well-rounded teams this year to get some awesome projects out there. Also on the membership, obviously I'm not going to list them all, but here's some of our major benefits is getting exclusive member access to our member portal. We have a lot of job listings, resume distribution, speaking opportunities. But if anybody's interested, I'd be happy to have a one-on-one call and kind of go through this a little bit further. Last but not least, for anybody that's new, if you'd like to be added to our e-newsletters on Monday, they do go out every Monday with news, events, jobs, anything that you should kind of be up to date with. You can actually just text us to 561-250-7206 and just send us your email address and we will make sure to add you there. And that is my piece. So I wanted to turn this over to Leigha. Again, super excited. Leigha, if you wanted to introduce yourself, your organization, and just tell us a little bit about what you do. And then whenever you want to, feel free to share the screen and go right into your presentation.
Great. First off, thank you guys for spending Friday morning talking about Instagram with me. I'm Leigha. I'm the COO of DNA for Insta. We have an iOS app that helps plan posts for Instagram and measure analytics. So that is what we do. And over the course of developing this app, we've learned quite a bit about Instagram in general. So my hope is to kind of condense what we know and share some of that with you. So today we're going to talk about everything from kind of the algorithm to the analytics itself. It is probably going to seem like a lot, maybe a little daunting, but I promise you it's once you're setting realistic expectations, when you're actually taking little bits of steps each week, within a few hours a week, you can actually see some benefits here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started sharing the screen. Just give me one moment. All righty. All right, so today what we're going to be talking about is what makes Instagram tick. We're going to be talking about the algorithm. We're going to identify the major factors and the minor factors, and we'll talk about what contributes to post success on the feed. Then we're going to get into the posting elements that you can actually optimize in your story posts or in your feed posts for more success. Then we're going to talk about your profile as a whole. We're going to talk about the macro view and what you can do to increase your overall page SEO, because again, no one can ever buy anything from you or follow you if they can't actually find you. And then finally, we're going to talk about some analytics that you can use for analyzing and measuring growth and post performance. So keep in mind, everything we talk about today is going to be really important for how you build your page into something that people can actually get to and something that people can actually monetize, mainly by making the most of what's already available organically on the platform. So as most of you guys know, back in 2016, Instagram shifted away from the reverse chronological order. People were not too happy about it, and we switched over to the algorithmic ordering. There's three huge factors that go into feed posting on the algorithm. Those are interest, timeliness, and relationship. So when it comes to interest, this is literally how much Instagram is going to predict that a person will care about a post. We're taking into account things like the post itself, whether it's a dog or a cat, the actual subject. We're taking into account the captions, the tags, all in the hopes of getting your post and your imagery in front of people who have interacted with similar posts in the past. The next thing we have is timeliness. Now, this is simply the time and date your post was published. Instagram still wants to show people the latest and greatest content, even though its feed isn't chronologically ordered anymore. And the Instagram algorithm definitely prioritizes fresher posts. So this is why it's super, super important to find out when your followers are online and post then. And we can talk about exactly how to find that in just a few minutes. And the final most important element of this is going to be relationship. And this is the degree of predicted relationship between a content publisher and a content viewer. And it's probably the single most important algorithmic factor for ranking a post. Interactions like likes, even though the total number is hidden, they actually still really matter. Comments, saves, what hashtags you use, what location tags you use, all of these are signals for the algorithm that you've built a relationship with a certain demographic or a certain person or a certain type of viewer. And this is also the reason why if you follow like 2,000 pages, tons of celebrities, a bunch of businesses, you're still going to see all the posts from your best friend or the person that you can't stop searching in your browser. Now, when it comes to these three things, there's a reason for that. Instagram wants to keep people scrolling, they want to keep people on their platform for longer, and they want to try to keep people happy. So one of the people that was responsible for actually creating this algorithm, his name is Thomas Dimson, and he put it really, really, really well. He said that Instagram's whole goal to keep users happy, to keep them there longer. But you can't go around asking that many people on a platform that big, hey, how happy are you? So how do you measure happiness? You're going to want to designate it some type of proxy. And in this case, we're talking about our engagement metrics. We're going to talk about our comments, our likes, our saves. That's what the algorithm is using to measure how happy someone is to see a piece of your content. So that's kind of how it works. So keep that in mind. Here are just three kind of smaller factors that go into your feed ranking. It's frequency, and this is just how often a user opens Instagram. And this is kind of what defines if your feed is going to be more chronologically ordered, or if you're going to see a best of from the people you care about most from the last few days that you missed. Next is how many followers someone has, and this is simply so that your feed doesn't get saturated with too much from one person. And then finally, we have usage, and this is how long a user spends during a particular Instagram session. So if we have a user that likes to use Instagram in short bursts, all of their relevant content is going to be packed in those first few images that they scroll. If you have someone who's using Instagram for like an hour plus at a time, Instagram is going to categorize that library to fill it with engaging content. So they're going to scroll through their whole hour length and again, be happy. So this is what goes into making the algorithm work. But we're going to talk about some myths surrounding the algorithm in general. and some realities. So the first reality is that these are the 4 engagement factors that most impact the algorithm. So there's comments, likes, saves, and views. Another thing to keep in mind here is that DMs are becoming increasingly important. So when we talk about DMs, we mean the types of accounts that you're DMing. And DMs aren't necessarily weighted as heavily as comments or saves, for example. But if you're able to use your stories to encourage people to reply to you, you're building that signal within the algorithm that says, hey, I have a relationship with this person in this demographic, and that can help your posts get on their Explore feed that much more. So the next thing we have are things that actually don't necessarily increase or decrease your reach naturally, no matter what you've heard. So first of all, whether you have a personal or a business or a creator account, your posts have equal chance of getting reach. Same goes for organic versus sponsored. They have equal potential for reach here. A little while back, I think there was a bit of a misconception that if you posted what can be considered like too frequently or too often, that you'd incur some sort of algorithmic ban, and it's just not true. You may annoy people, you may lose followers, but the algorithm won't ding you for it in that way. The next is interacting with Instagram's other content like stories or live or reels or IGTV. Instagram won't necessarily see you interacting with that content and say, let me boost their post feed ranking. It's great to diversify, but it's just not going to help immediately in that way. And then finally, and probably the most common, is that videos get more reach on the platform than static posts. It's not true. If your audience likes static posts, they're going to engage with the static post just as much. And if your audience likes video, video is going to do better for you. Finally, there was a myth going around that when you have an Instagram profile and you're following other people in your niche and you're trying to comment and build relationships and get people to talk to you, that you had to use a comment that was 5 words or more in order for the algorithm to register it. It's not true. You can post 1 emoji or you can post 2 sentences. It's still a comment to the algorithm and you're still signaling a relationship is happening there. Now, we're going to look into how you can actually post better now that we understand a bit more about what the algorithm does and how it picks content. So content is always absolutely paramount on the platform. And at DNA for Insta, we found that the content that does best often ticks one of 3 boxes. It's either beautiful, it's valuable, or it's truthful. Now, when it comes to beauty, I don't just mean a beautiful woman or a beautiful sunset. It could be a beautiful sandwich. It could be a beautifully knitted blanket. It could be something that's beautiful within your niche. The same goes for truthfulness. This could be telling a truth about yourself. If you have a product, you're going to want to tell the truth about one of your customers and how it impacted them. You're just going to want to try to evoke an emotion. These are the types of things that resonate often with users and really generate comments. Finally, we have value, and value is typically linked to the engagement metric of saves. So if you want someone to be saving your content, which is a huge algorithmic signal that you're building relationship and interest, you're going to want to give them something that's maybe educational. You could think of posting a guide. You could think of actually using it as a call to action in your caption. So say, hey, save this post for later because I have something that you're going to want to come back to in a month or 2. Again, we're going to want to make sure that your feed overall, not just one post, is super cohesive. So can people tell who you are at a glance? Because when someone comes to your profile, that's about how much time you have to get them hooked on your content. So over here, we have one of our DNA for Insta users. You can tell she uses a lot of face photos. You can tell she has a clearly defined color palette. You can tell she's into fashion. You can tell by her highlights that she's into cleaning, workout, outfit ideas. You can tell she's from Illinois. You can tell she is, a little bit politically active. You can tell a lot about her by one single glance. So if your feed is lacking some sort of cohesiveness, you may want to consider a color palette. You may want to consider a design pattern, like maybe a quote, a photo, a product, a quote, a photo, a product, or you can even use posting templates, and a free place to start for that, Canva, the free version. Their templates are amazing, customizable for your brand colors, pop your logo in there, super, super simple. And then finally, if you're ever struggling with simply what the heck to post, remember that face photos just tend to perform better by 38% when it comes to likes and 32% when it comes to comments. I actually think that's boosted up to 40 in 2020. I have to get the study to find it. But in general, if you don't know what to post, go with faces. And typically, unless you're going for kind of like a 90s ironic grainy look, always keep your photos high resolution. And of course, when it comes to videos, your files should be no longer than 4 gigs. So now that we talked about what to post, let's talk a little bit about when to post. Feed posting and timing. So timing is wildly important. Posting when your followers are most online is critical. Now, if you already have a business or creator account, Instagram helps you find this. You can go to tap Insights on your Instagram settings, Total Followers tab, and then you'll scroll down to the bottom of the screen where you're going to see something that looks like this chart here. And you can organize it by hour or by day, and it's going to show you when your followers are most online. Now, say you're just starting out, you don't have default times to post yet because you don't have those 100 followers, or you have a personal account and you want to keep it that way. What we've done based on our own user data and what we know about all of our users' online followers in EST is giving you some best default times to post. Now, as with almost all industries, for the tech industry specifically, Wednesday is going to be your best time to post, and Sunday is probably going to be your worst for engagement. And then when it comes to tech specifically, keep your audience in mind. Tech people can sometimes tend to be early risers. So when you're posting and you have some measurements and you're wanting to play around with posting time, for tech at least, you may want to lean earlier in the day when you're doing your A/B test for posting. Now, the next thing we have are hashtags. Hashtags are what is going to help interested non-followers find your content. And for the sake of Instagram, it can be really helpful to think of them as keywords. So you want to post tags within your niche that connect with your post, and you don't want to abuse them or use banned hashtags. And I have an entire list of our known banned hashtags next door, and we'll talk about why they exist. Next, you want to mix it up. Yes, Instagram allows you to post 30 hashtags. Do we recommend doing it for every post? Absolutely not. I would say pick 7 to 10 really relevant hashtags, something that are keywords to your page, maybe something that comes back to the actual content in the post, or a hashtag that's worked really well for you before. And the way that you can find that is by checking out your post insights. If you look at your post insights, if you go down, you'll see impressions. If you go down a little further, you're going to see impressions from hashtags. This is what you want to take a look at. When you notice this start to go up, you're going to want to take those hashtags and reuse them and modify them, and that is the beginning of your content strategy. Again, being that this is what we do, if you don't want to do the legwork there, you can use an analytics tool like DNA for Insta, and we can take a look at your performance, give you your hashtags, and you can just simply copy and paste them. As promised, we have our list of known banned hashtags here. Screenshot, take a photo, do whatever you like. So the reason that these exist. There's a lot of types of content that Instagram isn't necessarily trying to promote, often thinking NSFW kind of stuff. While some of these may seem pretty obvious, some of them may not. So say I'm a fitness influencer or I am a swimwear brand. It may be perfectly normal for me to want to try to use bikini body. It makes sense. But actually, it's going to hurt the reach of my post more than it's going to help. So sometimes it's just good to check back here, see what's on the banned hashtag list, try to remove it from your rotation. These tend to change every year, but these are the ones that we know as of right now, at least. The next thing we're going to talk about is feed posting when it comes to captions and comments. So while Instagram is definitely made for visual storytelling, it's also made for textual storytelling. You can use your captions to keep your viewers on your content that much longer. And this is a huge signal for the algorithm that you're building interest, not only with that viewer, but people that fit that demographic and getting your content on the explore pages of the places where you want to be. So you can use your blog for your caption for kind of like a microblog moment. I think prior to 2016 and even past that, captions were kind of really cute, witty one-liners, and those definitely have their place. But as you can see with one of our users here, she's used this caption to almost create a small blog. She's tagged someone else to increase her engagement. She's asked a question of her users in order to increase comments. So this is something wonderful. Just something to remember here. If you're gonna go the longer route, Instagram will truncate your caption after 3 lines. So when they kind of told you in 5th grade to start a paragraph strong, it's exactly the same thing here. You really want to use some sort of grabber or hook or get them in there. So they want to tap the more button to read the whole caption, hopefully see your call to action, hopefully engage, signaling the algorithm. Now, say you posted something great, you've got a good caption, you've generated some comments. It's always a good idea to respond to every comment you get. Again, could just be an emoji, could be a full sentence, and if you can create a whole conversation, even better. But someone's given you the gift of engagement, so just go ahead and tell them thank you. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is alternate text. And if you've done any sort of SEO or posted images online, you are very familiar with this term, but you may not have known that it exists for Instagram. So Instagram allows you to assign alternate text for all of your images. And it does this for 2 reasons. One, if an Instagram user has kind of a slow connection, they may see a text version of the image and not the image itself. 2, for people who are visually impaired and prefer a text description of the images. Now, for our purposes, we're going to think of this as an extension of Instagram SEO. So we're going to want to sneak some keywords in here. And how you do that is by taking or uploading a photo to Instagram as usual. You filter, you tap edit, then you tap advanced settings, then you go to write alternate text. Here's where you're going to want to describe your photo. Think of it as describing it for someone who's potentially visually impaired, but you're going to want to sneak some keywords in there. Say I have a bakery and I post a beautiful croissant. I'm going to write beautiful croissant from a South Florida bakery. I've got South Florida bakery right in there. Once I post that post is going to do a lot to increase the SEO of my overall page. So over here, we have an example of that, say for our own DNA for Insta account. Sometimes we like to post travel hashtags or hashtags for influencers in different niches. So we have that post there. We tap advanced setting on the bottom. We scroll down, we tap write alternate text, and then we actually describe our image. So I've written background scenery with 3 top hashtags for travel influencers, and I've listed what those hashtags are. So again, I will do this for every single post, and you can go back and do it for your past posts. So I recommend if there's a post that's gotten a lot of engagement, if there's a post that people keep having their eyeballs on, you're going to want to try to do this and go back. What you may notice that Instagram has already generated the content for you, because everything you post, Instagram generates alternate text for it. But if you can do it yourself and sneak keywords in there and make it work for you, why not? All right. Next, we have story posting. You're going to want to think of stories as a bridge between your content, where your content can live between your feed posts. Stories are also a great way to test different types of content and also get product feedback if you're selling a product or a service. Similar with posts, look at your best times to post when your followers are most online. Try to post your stories then. In terms of engagement elements, you can try adding location stickers and hashtag stickers. I particularly recommend these because if you have a public profile and you're using location and hashtag stickers, those stories can actually show up on the Explore story feed for your post. So you can actually get more reach that way. Also, poll stickers are another great way, again, to engage your customers or your viewers. You can ask them questions. For this one, we've actually done a little Instagram-based Q&A. Then you can also ask someone to reply to you in DMs. So you can ask them a question and say, DM me. Again, you're signaling the algorithm that you're building that relationship with that person and people like them, getting your content out there to even more people. All right, now that we've talked about stories, how to post them, how to get a little better, we're going to talk about the actual types of pages. So you have business, personal, and creator. For our purposes, we're going to stick to talking about business and creator. Up until 2020, business and creator profiles had a number of differences, but now Instagram is slowly kind of breaking down the wall between them. And there's really not too much that differentiates them except for your own personal page goals. So both business and creator can access insights. They can integrate with third-party tools like DNA for Insta to help them post better. They get a call to action button, they get a label. If you are a brand, you can actually upload a library of your products into Facebook to create shoppable posts. And if you're an influencer, somebody hoping to post with a brand, you can actually make your post shoppable by using shoppable tabs. Also, you're going to get access to customized audience targeting for your promotions, no matter which profile you have. Now, the difference between the two are that creators do have more flexibility when it comes to defining their page goals, and they can also share their content directly back to brands. So for example, if you are a brand and you're looking to hire an influencer, you can ask them to post, and then you can also ask them to share the analytics of that post directly with you. So you don't have to guess how many reach did they get, how many impressions did they get. Now that you can't see likes, how many likes did they get? It'll all be fed directly back to you. So there's a certain level of transparency with the actual analytics there. Again, this is because Instagram wants to build the relationships for influencer marketing platforms. So the thing that's going to basically define your choice between the two is if you're a business or selling a service or a product, go for business. If you're someone hoping to post with a business or get paid to post your content, you may want to lean toward a creator account. Now, whether you have a creator or business, you should have access to Instagram's desktop creator studio. This is a place actually on desktop where you can go check out your posts, check out your analytics, and you should be able to do some post publishing. You have video, carousel, and story options. And again, this is just a way to take it off the phone on desktop. And if you're someone that's planning out your content far in advance, this might be valuable for you. All right, now we're going to get into the anatomy of a profile, everything from profile pic down to bio. So when it comes to profile pics, whether you're a brand or you're a personal influencer, you're going to want to keep it absolutely current, like current to the most in highest degree. If you are an influencer that just got a haircut, update your profile pic. If you are a brand who just refreshed your logo, update your profile pic. The reason is because when they see your content floating around, if they find you through a story, you're going to want to match the impression that you've already given them, and you're going to want to build trust. The next is your username. Now that's also your @ name. If it's a natural fit, you can work a keyword in here. Over here, we have an Instagram user, one of our users actually, her name is Thrifty Tigers. She posts thrifty, affordable fashion content. You see she's worked the word thrifty right into her @ name. Great. Now, for everyone, this isn't always an option. And if you can't work a keyword in there without forcing it with either made up words or kind of underscores and things like that, it's okay. Just pop down to your display name. This is the name where you would typically put your own name, me being Leigha Grimes. If I was a bakery, I might put Leigha Grimes, South Florida Bakery, because the display name is just as searchable as your username. Again, the same goes with your bio. If you can work some keywords in here, if you can work a hashtag in here, more importantly, this is going to help your page become more discoverable for people searching those hashtags. Now, the reason for all of this is because Instagram uses a machine learning practice known as word embedding. It looks at keywords in places like display names, usernames, bios, also captions that you write, in order to figure out where your content is likely to perform best. So if you can take a moment, maybe just do one of these a week, over time, you'll be increasingly optimizing your profile, increasing your profile SEO. Then next we have highlights. Highlights are often the first thing people consume in terms of your content before they actually get to scrolling your page. If someone sees you from a story, they're going to see your profile pic, your username, your bio, and they may see your highlight reel. So this is a really, really, really great opportunity to set some continuity and some expectations for what people can see from you. Also, psychologically, if you can make your highlights use iconography that look like buttons, maybe that's something 3D, maybe something that feels tappable, you'll actually encourage someone to want to psychologically just go ahead and tap that button. Also, this is going to be a good place for extending the timeline of a narrative. So here's an example of what I mean by that. I am a fashion influencer, hypothetically. I'm not in real life, I promise. I like to post retro Throwback Thursday content. I get very excited. That's my spin on it. I like to post retro looks. Maybe it's 80s, maybe it's 70s, maybe it's 60s. Every Thursday, that's what my users expect from me. Now, let's say on Wednesdays, I've decided to post a story series, kind of hyping up my users. Maybe I do a fun try on. Maybe I try on a bunch of retro looks. We make jokes. I hype my users up for what they can expect to see in 24 hours. Now I take all those stories and I create a highlight. I put that on my page so that users can see, hey, these are the kind of funny shenanigans you're going to get from me. You never have to scroll through weeks worth of content to realize that I have some sort of serialized piece of Throwback Thursday thing happen. So what we've done here is we've not only hyped up my Throwback Thursday post a full 24 hours before I'm ever going to post it, hopefully engaging my audience. We've taken my static serial content, we've turned it into a Wednesday story serial content, and we've also given it a highlight place for setting expectations for our users. So content that's already evergreen, Throwback Thursdays, you can kind of use it anywhere. You can also make it evergreen on your stories, and you can make it work for you for a longer amount of time. So now that we've expanded on this, let's get into posting cadence, how often you should be posting, and content calendars. So we just have some quick tips. Start as you mean to carry on. It's always good when you start a page, you want to post every day, you think it's going to get you a lot more engagement, but if it's only realistic for you to post quality content twice a week, start there. You're going to want to build trust. People are going to start getting used to your posting cadence, and changing it up on them isn't always the best thing. So maintain a schedule where you can maintain quality. It's also important to keep your followers engaged but not overwhelmed. Again, here, you can also use serialized content either monthly or weekly to help break things up for yourself, set a schedule so things don't seem as daunting. And also, you're going to want to review what's worked for you in the past, set some goals so you can know what will work for you in the future. Over here, we have a hypothetical situation. Say my page goal for this month is to increase my overall follow engagement by 0.5%, something that is a pretty attainable goal for Instagram if you put some effort in. Now, say I have a lifestyle themed blog or business. I've decided I can only post twice a week. That's when I'm able to commit to myself. But I also want to mix up my content efforts. So say every Monday I hop on my stories, I grab a cup of coffee, and I just chat with them. I chat about what's going on this week. I hype up my content for next week. I share some anecdotes. I share some truth. I share some value. Maybe I share something beautiful. People get used to starting their Mondays with me. Now, my goal is to increase engagement. So Wednesdays, I decide to post a Q&A style post on my feed. This is a photo that has a caption that kind of generates questions and answers from your followers. So this will help overall boost my engagement. Over here, we can see on the last Wednesday of the month, we have Halloween. We definitely want to touch on any sort of seasonal or holiday content elements that we can get our hands on. So I might post like my last 5 years worth of Halloween posts, say which ones do you like? What are you doing this year for Halloween? A great way to get engagement. Now, being that I'm a lifestyle, either influencer or brand, there's probably a time where I want to sell a product. Maybe I use affiliate links like to know it. Maybe I have a product library. Maybe I notice that when I post product photos, Fridays are a great day because people are in the Friday mood. They're in the mood to spend money. So I'm going to serialize my product posts for Friday. That's something that people can expect to find something cute to buy on my page every week. So right here, we have a content calendar that definitely allows time for spontaneous content. If something happens on a Thursday or a Friday, I easily have time to post. But if I don't want to add to it, I have a schedule. I have something dependable. I have something people can come back to when they're ready. Next, we have the analytics that you're going to want to look at. We're going to talk about some more general metrics and things that we look at in our industry. But again, depending on your page goals will depend on what you want to look at. The first thing, best times to post. This is what you should be looking at before you ever get near the publish button. You're going to want to review your online follower data. You're going to want to note the peak times. You're going to want to see for any changes, especially if you start to gain followers from other time zones. And Instagram will generally tell you that when you look at your demographics for where your followers are coming from. Again, if you don't want to kind of go through those steps, you could always use an analytics tool. The next one that we like to look at a lot is reach. And again, on Instagram, sometimes reach and impressions are kind of skewed back and forth between each other. So reach is simply the number of people that your content reached, the number of individual people, and impressions are the number of times the content was seen. Now, when it comes to working with influencers, if you're a brand and you want someone to post about your product, you may see them throw around impressions a lot, and that tends to be a vanity metric. You want to be looking at reach. Also, when you're using hashtags, when you're switching up your location tags, come back to check the reach of these posts. Did they actually get to any more people than are typically in your network? If they did, this means that your content may have ended up on the Explore page more, and this gives you a little something to work with. You're going to want to redo the things you did where your reach is highest. Next, we have saves, and this is kind of a hot metric for 2020. It wasn't kind of valued as much before, and it really, really is now, especially because Instagram is leaning away from kind of the more public-facing metrics and trying to do things that can actually add value, and saves is the place where you'll see that. So it's a key signal for the algorithm for measuring interest, and it does well when you post content that provides value. So again, if you're a service, you can post a how-to about how to use your product. If you want to do a little carousel of the product changes that you have coming up. If you're an influencer, maybe you want to post a guide to something that is relevant to your audience that they'll need in a month or two, and you don't want to be afraid to literally ask them to save it in a call to action. Sometimes if you want them to do an action, just blatantly say, hey, save this. You're going to want it for later. I have something full of value here. For the algorithm, it shows that people are gaining interest in you. The next thing we have is follower engagement rate. This is going to be the one you've probably seen a lot of places. And almost every different tool, every different influencer will calculate this differently. But as a base, you're going to go likes plus comments. Say you're taking engagement over the last 30 days. You'll check out the likes and comments of your posts over the last 30 days over your number of followers times 100. Now, follower engagement rate is often more important, at least to us, than actual number of followers. And you'll notice when people have followers in the millions, their engagement rate on average is something like 0.2%, wildly low. You'll notice if someone is just starting out, followers in maybe the under thousands, 500 followers, you're going to notice an engagement of rate somewhere around 14 or 15%. When you've hit your good spot, it's when your followers are going up along with engagement rate. That means you're gaining followers that are perfectly okay with commenting on your photos, viewing your videos, saving your content, having a conversation, and triggering those algorithmic signals that say, hey, this is my target demographic. The next thing we're going to look at is growth. Now, if you have the latest version of Instagram, you may notice some changes with the way their analytics are displayed. But either way, no matter what you do, when you go to the insights, you're going to want to tap either the total followers tab on the newest version of Instagram, or you're going to want to scroll to the audience tab on the later version of Instagram. Here, if you have a business or a creator account, you should be able to see your unfollower and follower data by day. So when you're testing out different pieces of content, when you're trying to figure out what works for you, you're going to want to look at this. If you posted something and a lot of people left that day, you probably know not to return to that type of content. If you posted something that got a lot of new followers that day, you're going to want to look at your reach, your tags, the things that got your content in front of someone who wasn't already following you, you're going to want to repeat that. And then finally, we have some story metrics. Here this offers you a look at how many people actually consume your whole piece of story content. You can check out taps forward, taps back, replies. Again, impression and reach are really important here. And a place we like to use stories is when we're testing out a type of content. So say we want to post a new type of series on our Instagram and we're not sure if people are going to like it. We may try to modify it for stories, see how it does, pop a hashtag in there to increase its reach, see how people interact with it. If it's something strong, we may post that feed on our posts. If a post performs really well on our feed, we may consider serializing that type of content for the future. All right, so a lot of stuff, a lot of spieling, but I just want to leave you with a couple of things that are going to help you post better on your next post in real life. So things that we recommend, things that you can immediately do as soon as this is over. Use the alternate text feature and bonus points for going back to your best performing posts from the past and using the alternate text feature there too. We highly recommend planning out your next posting date. Use the data from your online followers if you have access to it, and be really strategic about the time of day you're posting your posts. Next, give your profile an overview. Of course, make sure your profile picture is what it should be, but try to add a keyword into your display name and a relevant hashtag into your bio. This should help your overall page discoverability. And then finally, review your past hashtag performance. Check out any post that you've used hashtags on in the past, pop down to the impressions from hashtags, see which ones have the most engagement from a hashtag, take those tags, and you can kind of modify them for the future. And that's going to be the beginning of your hashtag optimization strategy. All right, guys, I think we got it with enough time for questions. Thank you so much for listening to me spiel for that long.
Yeah, this was seriously awesome. Like,
oh, yay!
Yeah, that was definitely one of the best presentations we've had in a while. That was really, really good and really informative. And you're really good at like just getting the point, like to the point and getting the information out. Like I really liked it. I mean, does anybody have you know, in here that's anybody that's in Zoom with us, does anybody want to take themselves off mute and ask any questions?
Yeah, here to answer.
Yeah, I know we did see one from Todd about sharing the slides.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll send those directly to you guys. I know you guys pop it on YouTube anyway, but
yeah,
I'll send
we can forward them out to everybody. Yep. Yeah, perfect.
I mean, Leigha, we talked about this a little bit, but you know, when it comes to starting your content, because that's something that I've been pushing off. I mean, like, so much of what you just discussed just puts me on the right path. But I mean, for being like the first thing that I'm going to do, like, where would you suggest starting on like a personal one and also on a corporate side too?
So if you're just starting up your page basics, I would recommend, again, starting as you need to carry on. If you're planning a business page, I recommend starting as a business page from day one. You're going to also notice you're going to have the ability to assign your business page a governing Facebook page, a Facebook business page. You're going to want to make sure that connection is solid all the way through, just because sometimes it can get iffy if it's not. So I recommend if you have a product, you're going to want to go business page from the very beginning. Once you have your business page, I would wait to post anything. I would look at up to 20 or 30 different profiles in your category or niche. All of your competitors, if you notice a common theme for a certain type of content that they're posting, maybe they do motivational quotes a lot. Maybe their product posts do really well. Pick the top 3 kinds of content that you see most often. Try to get them on a content schedule. When I say you can use Google, you know, Calendar, you can use whatever. Starting out, I like to literally just print a calendar and be like, okay, posting to work well for them on that day, posting to do well for them on this day. Here's what they're doing. Once I have 3 types of content that I can use for myself on my page, then I start to look at what days of the week are they posting? When are they getting the most engagement? Can I see if this company or profile is South Florida based? If they are, you can, in, you know, most of your followers, if you have a product that is South Florida based or a business that is brick and mortar in South Florida, you're going to want to check out those as well. You can also check out their hashtags. You can do a lot with competitor research, and that's generally the very first place that I would start. And also, when you're building out your content, you may want to, whether you're using Canva, whether you're creating them yourself, whether you're taking the images yourself, you may want to actually kind of get at least, I would say 9 pieces of content together. That's 3 rows worth on Instagram, just so you can see what your content is going to look like next to each other, just so you can get an idea of what your grid is going to look like. There's a couple of grid planners out there. Obviously, DNA for Insta has one. So it'll let you just pop your photos in there and kind of drag and drop so you can see what things will look like. So those are my tips for starting a ton of competitor research. Just sit there, look at everyone who might be doing what you want to do and kind of see what they're doing before you get the data to kind of hone things for yourself.
Thank you.
And then again, once you hit that 100 follower mark, you're going to get access to your audience data, which will help you make decisions based on your profile, not just guessing at what other people are doing.
That's really awesome advice, Leah. Thank you. And thank you for that question too, Eric. That was a good one. There is a question in chat as well from Larry Goldstick. He asked about, what about Instagram ads versus organic?
Okay, so great question. All of these things are going to, promote your organic posts. For Instagram ads, we use them, and we use them in one of two ways. If we know that there's something that we want to get out there within a certain demographic, we'll promote a post, and we'll be really, really targeted when it comes to who we want to promote it to. So say we're promoting something to travel influencers, we'll go in there, we may promote something for $5 to $10 a day. We may actually use, travel influencers, Travelocity, Kayak, all of those things that people might be looking at, and that's how we'll promote our post. Another good way to promote your post can be to sometimes leave your interests more broad. And this is what you might want to do if you're trying to figure out what your target demographic is. So you're going to promote a post, you're going to come back and see who's been interacting with it, and then you can kind of use that to gauge who's going to like your post in the future. When it comes to promoting posts, obviously by day is how Instagram forces you to do it. And we recommend starting with a lower budget per day and working your way up until you see an engagement rate that you think you have value in, that you think is attainable. Again, for us, sometimes we do something as low as $5 a day, sometimes as low as $2 a day when we know we have a great audience and that they're going to like that post. Sometimes when we have a little more budget to play with, sometimes when we're posting a giveaway, we will go ahead and let that run for sometimes $10 a day, $50, $100. It kind of depends on what we want from the post.
I just want to interject, Leah,
Yeah.
that this was such a great talk, and I feel like there was probably about 20 slides that could have been their own talk.
Yeah,
So
we could go all day, really. I mean, we should maybe at some point, but
or week.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go for a week.
Yeah,
this would be perfect for the marketing and e-commerce group. I'm sure they would love this.
We could adapt that talk for that. I'm definitely happy to adapt this, or I think we're around the same length that it needs to be for this, so happy to pop that in there as well.
Yeah, this is perfect. And actually, I got another in private chat was asking the question of, so you mentioned the stories versus like the posts themselves. And you were talking about like the, let me see, like the analytics behind them, but what about the analytics behind shares? Like when somebody else shares your story or whatever, like how much does that impact your reach?
So shares when it comes to stories, there's actually not been too much directly from Instagram that says, hey, we impact stories and shares are impacted. But I would say we can probably infer that just like saves, posts, comments, this is going to be another one of those engagement metrics. So you might, if you're hoping for someone to share your post, if that is your goal, is to get your post on other people's feeds, you're going to want to say it. I think keep in mind though, just something with stories that comes to mind when you ask about shares. If you're ever going to want to promote your stories, don't tag another person or business. You won't be able to promote the story when you do that. So if you add Palm Beach Tech, if you add someone else, that actually limits your ability to promote the story itself. So you won't actually get those analytics back on that. But for story reshares, if you can encourage it, if you can say, if you have, say you have a business, say you're promoting a coupon or a day off and you say, hey, we'll give you an extra 20% off for resharing our story. Great, excellent. Algorithm signals going all over the place.
Very good to know, because I did not know that.
I believe you have to be a public profile for someone to share your post as well. So just another technical thing to keep in mind.
Very cool. I got one more in the private chat is when you were talking about the hashtag section. Yeah. You were talking a little bit about good versus bad, or I think you even, tell me if I'm right or wrong because I was listening, I think you said 7 to 10 like hashtags on average are good. The question I got in the private chat was, is there too much thing as too many hashtags, other than, in my opinion, annoying people sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not, again, avoiding the banned hashtag list, there's no evidence that says you will be dinged for using too many hashtags. But again, just like when you're A/B testing something, it's hard to tell what works if there's 30 of them. It's hard to identify when you're making changes that work if you're either using so much at one time that you can't actually identify which are the ones that are helping. So often for identifying them, if you want to switch up 1 or 2 per post, say you have 10 hashtags, and maybe you only want to switch up 1 or 2 every given post so you can actually measure what's going on. When you have 30 every single post, it can be hard to see what's working and what's not. If you have 30 great hashtags and you're getting wonderful engagement every time, perhaps you want to think about putting 10 in your actual caption and then immediately commenting as the first comment with the other ones. Also, just a note for that, there's really not any like information to suggest commenting in your caption versus commenting in your or putting your hashtags in your captions versus hashtags in your comments. They both are kind of registered the same way. I like to get them into captions because why waste a second if you don't have to waste a second? But if you're going to be putting a lot in there, try not to put them all in your caption, pop some in the comments just to break it up for people.
Perfect. I'm glad you just said that, because when I was actually just going to ask that, that was my question. So that's perfect. Is there anybody else that has any other questions or anything I might have missed in chat? I was trying to watch, but I think I got them all. Of course, we got questions about, are you going to share the recording? Are you going to share the presentation? So yes, for sure, we will. Does anybody have anything else?
I have
Michelle?
a question for Leigha.
Hi.
Thank you. Yes, that was jam-packed. My head's still spinning. I'm going to try to formulate a question. This would be about any special tips for nonprofit organizations. I did hear competitive research. That would be very helpful. But also you were talking about influencers. And is that akin to what we might call like a brand ambassador to help us raise money?
Absolutely.
If you have any special tips, I'd appreciate hearing that.
Yes. So beginning off in my industry, I worked in brand development. So not only did I work for a company that posted a lot of things for brands on Instagram, we as a brand hire influencers and we work with a lot of influencers. So kind of see it from both sides. So say you're a nonprofit, I'm assuming you're hoping to get a list of influencers that will talk about your nonprofit and spread the good word, whatever it may be. Kudos also as well. I think the first thing you want to ask from them, out of curiosity, are you working with them on a paid or for free basis?
Well, right now we have volunteers who serve as brand ambassadors. It's not well defined. So that's maybe one tip.
Okay. So if you can keep them as volunteers, excellent. And if you can do that, wonderful. What I would recommend is depending on if you're asking them to post stories, if you're asking them to post posts, when you're approaching them and the dialogue is going well, you can ask them, what are your average reach per post? What does your engagement rate look like? Can you let me know your follower growth rate for this year, just to see if everything is trending upward for them. You also may want to, definitely vet the post they posted in the past. Take a look if they have sponsored content. This will tell you a lot about the type of content that they use and the type of content that their audience uses. So if they posted nonprofit stuff in the past, if you want to look under hashtag nonprofit, hashtag organizations that help, you may actually see influencers that use the hashtag nonprofit, and you can already find people who are that much more likely to be willing to work with you. If you want to check out nonprofits in your area or in the area that match your niche, go to their follower list, browse their followers. Anyone who has a great page that you think you would like to see your content on, you can go ahead and reach out to them. DMs are probably the best way to do it. If you do end up going into the paid influencer space, fair warning, there's absolutely no continuity. Someone with the same engagement rate and followers will post two different prices for what they want to work with you with. So get some prices, search around, ask questions about analytics, ask questions about reach. If you're hoping for them to convert on something, say if they have over 10,000 followers and you're hoping to put them to post a story with a swipe up link to your destination, ask what their average conversion rate is on their stories. They should, if they're worth their salt, be willing to share that information with you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Very good. And I got actually another question in private chat was, is shadow banned real? Is being shadow banned real?
So Instagram has not admitted that shadow banning is real. That is how I'm going to word that. I have seen influencers experience extremely decreased reach in posts with absolutely no real explanation as to why. That is also real. That is as much as I can affirmatively say about shadow banning. I personally, in the time that I've worked with Instagram, do think that on occasion it does exist. There doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason why, but it can exist. Again, staying away from banned hashtags is probably a good way to start. There's no real reason to say you'll get shadow banned if you post too frequently, but there's no reason to annoy people. So that's the opinion on shadow banning, at least what we know.
Perfect. If anybody has any last minute questions, because we're really close to time, but I also want to make sure that anybody gets to ask what they'd like. I think I got all the questions that I've seen in chat. Monica, do you see anything by chance on social?
I think Eric has one.
Yeah, I got one. I was
Eric,
just kind of curious for when you're dealing with services or products, like what you've seen on that launch time for people to, go in the right direction.
Yeah. Do you mean with like working with other people and getting kind of the word out there and influencers, or just mean like how you want to launch? Like, I have a post I'm going to launch in a week. How do I hype up people beforehand?
I mean, it's probably all of it, but like for when you have a product compared to you're offering a service, like what you're seeing for success with those stories and the time for them to grow.
Yeah. So when it comes to products, I mean, product shots, having beautiful product shots, absolutely great. When it comes to the people talking about your products, again, faces do well on Instagram, people do well on Instagram, unless you have like insanely beautiful packaging and it's like architectural level and people are going to love it, take great pictures of your packaging. But I think leaning more towards testimonials, real truth, if you can do some how-tos on how to use your product, if there's commonly asked questions about your product, I think you want to turn your Instagram, because if you're going to launch your product, you're going to have a lot of people coming back to you being like, what is this about? How do I use it? If I have problems, what do I do? So when you get to your Instagram and you're launching this product, you're going to want to kind of answer all those questions. So if you're starting, maybe the first 3 rows is just, here's what we are, here's what we do. Maybe you want to hype up what it is. Then the next 3 rows, maybe you want to go, here's our product. Here's what you can visually expect from us. Maybe the next 3 rows you want to, or you can mix this up in a pattern, but maybe the next 3 posts you want to say, here's people using our product. Maybe you want to mix it up between carousels. Maybe you want to give 3 different users using a product in one single post. Maybe you want to post a video of your product actually in action, or someone saying, hey, I use this, it's amazing, organic, try to make it, real and engaging. You could also, if you're actually doing sales or things on your product, or if you are doing sales in the future, if you're offering coupon codes, this could be a great place to be like, hey, save this for later, using that call to action, because on launch day, you can get X% off this product using this code. So those are some ways where you can use more product-based stuff. But again, people, faces, truth, testimonials, also talking about how your product was made, your origin story. If that is interesting, if the people that make your product are interesting, don't be afraid to go behind the scenes and kind of show how the product got there in the first place. And
then with services, I mean, like, how would you kind of look at that?
With services, say I am like an influencer coach type of thing. I've seen a lot of people in the service industry utilize their highlights to do a reel of the different types of services that they offer. So that's one place. Again, service-based people tend to be able to share a lot of high value content and things that are going to trigger saves. So you may want to take whatever the service is. Say if I'm a life coach, maybe I can hybridize the top 3 value points or top 3 things that I can share to someone. I can actually put that in a text post on Instagram and share that. Just while I'm thinking about it, as a note with text posts on Instagram, or if you're sharing quotes, try to keep, if you ever plan on promoting it, keep your text under 20% of the post, because you'll have a hard time promoting it later on. There's actually, if you Google Instagram 20% text finder, you can input your photo and it will tell you that. Sorry, that's just one thing to think about. But for services, you're going to often find text-based posts, because they're going to be like, here's what you're going to learn from my workshop. Here are the 3 things that you're going to get from me. Here are X packages that I offer. Here are 3 customers that I helped. Here are real people that I've worked with. So again, services, you may want to go with stories. You're probably going to be looking at text-based things. Your captions are probably going to be longer, because you're going to be doing more explanation, because it's not necessarily, a water bottle that you can take a photo of and people get the idea.
Leah, when you say 20% text posts,
yes,
do you mean of all of my posts less than 20%, or do you mean like the actual like physical space of the post?
Okay, so yeah, the actual physical space of the post. So when I'm thinking of posting an image that has text on Instagram, and I know I want to promote this image later on, say I'm posting about a giveaway and I know that I'm going to want to promote this for $10 a day. I'm going to want for the overall post, for the overall square image, to not have more than 20% devoted to words, any sort of text element. Obviously, it's really hard to do by eye unless you're like some sort of great graphic designer extraordinaire. So again, if you just Google 20% text checker on Google, you'll be able to input your photo. It'll tell you if you're over or under the 20% text mark, and then you can move your text. I like to either just decrease the spacing so the text takes up less space, or decrease the font size a little bit, or use a less bold font, because the actual weight of the font itself is taken into account.
So they're actually counting pixels.
Yes, exactly. Again, you will be able to promote the post, but its reach is just going to be limited. And Instagram will probably tell you that with a giant yield symbol that's like, don't post it, don't promote this, there's too much text.
Perfect. I got a couple more questions here, Leah. This one goes back to the hashtags again, asking,
Yes.
is there a maximum hashtag
Yes.
for limit to Instagram?
I believe 30 is your maximum hashtag limit, whether in a caption or a comment. If you are going to use all 30, if you're going to use any more than 10 or 15, really, I just recommend breaking them up. So put some of your hashtags in your caption, put some of your hashtags in the first comment below.
Perfect. And then there was another question here also about let me see, it's, is there a difference in improvement for the analytics, whether you're using photos or videos? And then there was a part 2 to that is, what's the suggested length for videos on Instagram?
Sure. So suggested length for videos, there's no minimum. I believe the maximum that you're going to be at is 60 seconds. And this all depends on viewership. Chances are on Instagram, unless it's something highly engaging, it's going to be hard to keep someone there for a whole minute. I would say things like 15 to 20 seconds might be a good maximum for you. Also keeping in mind file size should be no more than like 4 gigs, I think. And then when it comes to the oh no, that wasn't hashtags. When it comes to videos versus posts, videos won't necessarily get you more reach. It's all about what the algorithm thinks someone will interact with. So if you post a video, it's going to go out to people that just simply interact with videos more. And if that's more, your reach will be more. If you're going to post a static post, it's going to go out to people who like your static posts more. And chances are, if your audience is already used to static posts, you'll actually get more reach from those. But experimenting is great. Just try, if you're going to do video content, try high quality. Candid is good, but also cohesive. So try to pick the thumbnail for the video that's going to look cohesive in a static, thing on your page, and maybe not with your face kind of mid-frame like, oh.
Good tip. Good tip. We've got 1 minute left, so I've got the final question here. Let's see. Rob on Facebook said, "Great info. All of the metrics can be found on Content Studio," right? He's asking, I guess, a question there.
Oh, okay. So for the actual desktop creator studio, I think is what he might be talking about. All of the analytics can be found in the Instagram Insights in the app. So Instagram Analytics tab, you can definitely play around there. In the creator studio, I don't believe you're going to get as many analytics. I think you're going to get the basic analytics for your posts and your carousels, but you can also do post publishing. So if you're kind of tired of like just dealing with your phone all day, you can get it on desktop, save your eyeballs a little bit.
Perfect. And it's literally 11 o'clock right now, so this was perfect timing. I think I got all the questions. Just wanted to say thank you so much, Leigha. Did you have any final thing that you wanted to say or put out there before we
I just wanted to say thank you for giving us this opportunity. It's so nice to chat with people like in quarantine. I've just missed people. You all are lovely. I've also just put my email and my LinkedIn in the chat for anyone that wants to connect or has specific questions, or if you have specific questions you want to ask about Instagram, I will happily try to answer you, each individually as I can.
Perfect. Thank you, Leigha. And yeah, and for everybody that has RSVP'd through Eventbrite that's in here on LinkedIn with us, so I know we got the question a few times. We are definitely going to send a follow-up email. We'll make sure to put Leigha's information in there, to the website, the slide, also this recording. So we'll make sure that everybody gets that. I could see this was a really great one that everybody loves. So thank you again, Leigha.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.